There are so many damn cameras these days. You got your GoPros, you got a point and shoot, but what if I told you that even if you buy any of these cameras, you're actually getting scammed? What? You see, without knowledge of photography, you're not actually able to leverage all the fancy features these cameras come with. And in 2024, it's never been easier to get into photography, and maybe I can help you with that. If you're new here, hi, my name's Joey. I'm a freelance portrait and travel photographer with 4 years of experience. I've worked with clients internationally in both the United States and Asia. I am here to provide you with simple photography explanations to help you get better photos as fast as possible. Today, I will be going over what I would do if I had to start photography all over again. To give credit where it's due, the format of this video is inspired by Ali Abdaal's guide to starting a YouTube channel, but adapted for us photographers. There are 3 stages that you'll experience in your photography journey, which I call explore, curate, and monetize. Throughout each stage, I want you to constantly evaluate how seriously you want to take photography, as that'll influence your decision in the monetize stage. As a note, I will be using the terms DSLR and mirrorless camera interchangeably. Let's start off with the explore phase. Maybe you just got a camera for fun, or you're even just using your phone. All beginners will start off at this stage. In this phase, just put your camera on auto and shoot photos however you please. The main goal is to enjoy the journey of taking photos. If a photo looks good to you, then it's a good photo. If you have confirmed that this activity is something you enjoy, then it's time to learn the fundamentals of photography, such as the exposure triangle, which I have a video for, composition rules, and learning how the time of day and weather affect the photos and the settings you shoot with. I recommend you start off shooting during the daytime, but at different hours during the day, just to keep things simple. That's because the only light source you'll have to worry about is the sun. If you're really ambitious and want to try shooting at night, watch my video on night photography to help get you started. Once you have a solid foundation, it's time to play with gear. At this point, you should graduate to shooting with a proper DSLR or mirrorless camera within your budget. That's because shooting with a point and shoot or even your phone has certain photographic limitations when taking an image. In this early stage of photography, it really doesn't matter whether you get a DSLR or a mirrorless camera. Just pick whichever is most convenient for you. Upon obtaining your shiny new DSLR, it's time to learn your gear. Shoot in manual mode and apply the concepts you've been learning from the exposure triangle. By experimenting with the exposure triangle, you'll start to see how different camera settings will help you achieve different visual effects. The 2 other important pieces of gear that you should learn about are lenses and tripods. On the topic of lenses, this can be a whole video in and of itself. But very briefly, each lens will have different technical specifications which will affect what camera settings you can shoot at. And based on those camera settings, you can get different looks for your photo. With tripods in photography, they are best paired with shooting with slow shutter speeds. Slow shutter speeds can yield really interesting visual effects and very unique photos. There is a myriad of other gear, but don't worry, you'll pick them up over time. If you're finding value in this video, please hit the like button so this video can spread and help others. The next stage is to curate. This is where you'll want to start switching your camera settings from shooting in JPEG to RAW. Now, I'm sure there's a whole bunch of people out there that know all the tiny technical details of shooting RAW, but to give you a 1-sentence summary, shooting in RAW gives you more control over your image's settings when editing. This is the stage where you will want to learn how to edit your photos. See what photo editors fit within your budget and your preferences. I personally use Adobe Lightroom, and I'm not being paid to say any of this. I purchased Adobe Lightroom with my own money, and I just think it's a great product. When editing, you'll want to learn how to tweak certain settings such as exposure, white balance, contrast, saturation, and you'll see a whole bunch of other settings when you start editing your photos. Now, there is a law I want you to sear into your brain. Editing is not an excuse to take bad photos and hoping you can fix it in post. Getting everything right in camera will save you a whole bunch of headache and time in the future. Now, after you start editing your photos, you'll want to start curating a portfolio of your best and greatest work. One of the funnest part of photography is sharing all the amazing work you've been doing with your family, friends, the internet, and you can do this all via Instagram, a personal website, or even just sending out prints. Now, I gave some advice at the start of the video. Throughout each stage, I want you to constantly evaluate how seriously you want to take photography, and I hope you've listened to that advice. Because now we're at the monetize stage. At this stage, you'll want to evaluate whether you want to treat photography as a hobby or a business. If you want to treat this as a hobby, then to be honest, this stage does not really apply to you, and just continue what you've been doing. However, if you want to take the business route, which is what I've done, then we need to start taking conscious effort to chase that bag. The easiest way to monetize as a photographer is to niche into a genre and learn every little tiny detail about that genre. In my case, I niched into portraits, and I had to learn how to pose individuals, pose couples, how to wardrobe them, and a whole bunch of other tiny little details. Once you decide on your genre, it's time to build up that portfolio. If you enjoy my style of teaching, please subscribe and hit the bell so that way you can get notified when new educational photography content drops. I don't just highly recommend this, but I think you should make a proper portfolio website. Instagram and social media are not portfolios. That is because you'll be taking photos in all different types of resolutions and formats, and Instagram just is not optimized to handle all that variation. Once you have established that portfolio, it's time to think about pricing. Are you gonna charge a flat fee, or maybe you charge hourly, or maybe you charge based on add-ons? You can even combine these different business models. After you've confirmed the pricing, it's time to think about marketing to get some clients. Now, I do not claim to be a marketing expert, and I don't know all the different strategies, but here's what's worked for me. Obviously, I have a YouTube channel where I teach photography and I show off my knowledge. This has led to people reaching out to me and inquiring about photo shoots. The second thing that's worked has been Instagram stories. Sometimes I'll post what I'm working on Instagram that will get some attention from people, and again, they also reach out, inquire about my rates and what type of work I can do for them. This has led to my first opportunity shooting a wedding. And the third way, which requires the most amount of work, is just networking with people throughout everyday life. I've met so many people through mutual friends where they have a desire to get great looking photos that aren't shot on an iPhone, and it turns out they don't know a lot of people that can operate a DSLR and have good photography fundamentals to help them get great looking portraits. There is one habit that has helped me immensely level up my photography throughout each of these 3 phases. Watch the video on it next.